You are listening to the Real Estate Informant podcast.
We're talking about real estate, and I have a lot of questions for you. Okay. But
wait a minute. Here we go
I didn't
again.
introduce Lance. I'm sorry.
I mean, you kind of did. Then you brushed me off like I'm not even here. How you gonna you went right to him like I'm not even here?
Yeah. He's so used to seeing you every day. It's like
well.
Are you over me?
No, I'm not.
Got this handsome young fella comes in here, real estate with Mo, shaking things up. Got my moderator, don't even forgetting to moderate. He's going straight to the talent. It's crazy over here.
He's like, yeah, we got Lance.
We got the real estate. We got that guy. However,
we have another guy.
It's all good. I'll play second fiddle. No, I'm teasing you. It's all good, brother.
Okay.
My man, real estate with Mo. What's up, brother? How you doing? Pardon the left. All right.
Everything's good, man. Happy to be here.
Mm-hmm. I'm happy to be here too. Glad to be speaking with you both. How did you guys meet?
Instagram.
Yeah.
Wow.
Social media. Wow. Like everybody else.
It's the meeting place for everything now.
Yeah, it's like I've been doing this thing for like 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
I got all types of new friends.
I saw Lance's stuff, and I'm like, he's basically doing what I want to do, and I just wanted to be a part of it and collaborate. So my biggest thing is like I have this segment on IGTV called Chopping It Up.
Okay.
Basically what we're doing now, just talking.
Mm-hmm.
And it has to be, about real estate. It could be I'm chopping up with an attorney. It could be an inspection guy. It could be anything. The last thing I did was with a mortgage guy, Eric Braun. Shout out to Eric Braun.
Shout out to Eric, not your average lender. What's up, brother?
Not your average lender. There you go. So when I saw Lance, I was like, I got to do it. So basically I hit him up, slid in the DMs like how everything else goes. No, I mean.
Pause.
What else can you do? And then he's like, listen, I'm going away. I'm doing, I think you were going to the thing in Vegas. What was it?
Right.
The Grant Cardone.
Yep.
Yeah, he's going to 10X. He's like, hit me first week of March. So I put it in my calendar. I made sure I hit him up. And then now I'm here.
Here we are, bro.
Awesome.
That's the backstory.
It's
really short, sweet, to the point.
Awesome.
I was easy.
Yeah.
We were easy. It was easy. I mean, listen, it's just connecting. It's just collaborating. That's all it really is.
It was a low-bearing fruit.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
Low-bearing fruit. That was easy.
Of course.
One hit a quitter.
Now, one thing the both of you have done when you got started in real estate was you worked in call centers. And you had mentioned how working in phone sales has taught you how to handle rejection in the field of real estate and how to follow up properly and how to know your prospect and build your pipeline. I would like to hear from both of you how that has helped you and how that came in handy.
Well, first, like from the rejection standpoint, you go into every single situation accepting being rejected after it happens so often. It's repetition at its finest. And I've gotten rejected a lot in life for a lot of different things, for a lot of different reasons. So picking up the phone and talking to somebody was just another thing.
Yeah.
It's just a bunch of no's until somebody says yes. You just keep digging until someone says yes.
What's the worst that can happen? They say no.
Exactly. And once you get that, like you're okay with that, then it becomes easy. You actually can make it fun. Right? You just got to understand. You just can't get your feelings involved. Don't get your feelings hurt. You got to understand that everyone's not going to want to talk to you. Everyone's not going to be a friend. You're not going to sell everybody. But every time you pick up that phone, it's an actual opportunity. And then, it's like getting in front of a stage, in front of an audience. Like you only got one chance to make a first impression. So just make it a good one, right, when it comes to sales. So that repetitiously, it taught the grind. It taught making hundreds of phone calls a day. That actually teaches you, number one, it teaches you patience.
Yeah.
Yes.
You have to have patience in order to do it.
And you're mentally tired after that day is over.
What? Yeah.
People are like, you didn't do nothing. I'm tired. Trust me.
Right.
I don't want to talk to nobody. I don't want to see nobody. I'm tired.
Right. So as far as so you played the phones for a little while?
So I did cash advances for 8 months, which is an interesting industry. It's we spoke about like the boiler room type. It's fast paced. It's if you're not hitting numbers, then you getting fired. Everyone's on cash. There's no, you know what I mean. And then like I was telling him, the number one thing you get used to is rejection, but also is that you have to remind yourself every phone call is the first phone call.
Yes.
Because you start to do this thing where you take what happened in the last 5 calls and you bring it to that next call. So your tone starts to get a little lower. You start to get a little more timid. You're like, hey, John, how you doing? No, I was just wondering. And then the guy on the other end is probably like, well, if he doesn't sound confident,
Right.
I'm not buying it.
Right. If you would have called him with the same energy you called the first 10 calls that day, you might have got something.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because he doesn't know that you.
He doesn't know you made
care
100
that-
calls.
He doesn't care that you made 100
Doesn't
calls
care.
that day. You got one chance to make an impression.
And the
on that.
crazy thing is that could have been your sale, but just
Yes.
because your energy wasn't right, just because you didn't sound confident in yourself, he's like, okay, yeah, call me back some other time, or I'll talk to my wife. And if you know anything in sales, I'll talk to my wife means, I'm not interested,
Right.
for lack of better words.
The way you do anything is the way you do everything. So that same energy you have to have throughout the day, and that's why Mo was saying it gets draining. Right? It gets repetition. It gets
mentally
draining.
draining.
It'll kill. I won't say it kill you, but the thing about it, especially locally here in New York, right? There was as far as the sales guys are concerned, the funny thing you mentioned cash advance, because there was like a trend, right? All the sales guys, all the top sales guys. Let me tell you the trend. First, from early 2000s, late 90s, early 2000s, it was the stock market. So all the guys who got their feet wet in sales, they got into stocks, right? They became stock guys, stock brokers. Then that shifted over to mortgages because the money. Excuse me. Sorry about that. It's supposed to be off.
All good.
Someone's about to pitch you.
Right. So then it came the stock guys transitioned to the mortgage industry. So they became mortgage guys, right? Loan officers, things of that nature. Then when that started dying down, then the mortgage guys, the industry went in reverse. So they went from getting people qualified for homes and refinancing them to getting them out of them or into loan modifications. So you went from stock guys to mortgage guys to loan modifications. After the loan modifications were over and that thing wasn't a thing anymore, regulation came in place, all the sales guys went to merchant cash advance. And that became the thing. And it's still a thing. It's not as crazy as it was before.
Yeah.
There was a point where there was absolutely like no regulation whatsoever.
Like literally no regulation.
Like none whatsoever. So you had guys charged. I mean, it was crazy. It was crazy. I never participated in that, but I know a lot of guys who did, opening call centers, getting people loans and businesses, things of that nature.
I'll tell you right now, and it wasn't my deal, but the highest percentage that I've seen charge on a cash advance.
Let me see. 45.
65%.
Wow.
65%.
65%. And I mean, listen, you got to understand, these people, they can't go to a bank. They can't even go to their mom, their cousin, And some of these people, they made it a business themselves. Like, they would get a cash advance, take the money, not pay it back. This is a high-risk loan. People not, it's 34% for, like, delinquency rate. Take the money, not pay it back. And then in, like, 8 months, they'll start a new small business.
So when you say 65%, right, because we kind of veered off into something else. Like, I love to doing that. I love to veer off a little bit. Not real estate right now. So, what do you mean by 65%? Because the viewers don't necessarily know what you mean by the highest commission you've seen. What do you mean?
No.
By,
so not commission.
The highest percentage, the rate you've seen is 65%.
The
What do you
highest
mean?
interest rate. So they were paying 65% interest to pay back that loan.
Interest.
Crazy.
Wow, that is a high risk loan.
High risk
That's
loan.
a lot of interest.
That's a high risk person you're lending to if you charge them that much.
Yeah.
It's
They're not able to like afford that, are they?
Listen, they never are. It's just one of those things where like they're up in their neck in cash advances, and then they get another one, then they pay off some things, and then they need another one to pay off the other. It's it's just a cycle.
It's a vicious cycle.
It's a vicious cycle.
Yep.
So
That's why you got to buy real estate. Create passive income.
Exactly.
And was that what got you into real estate? Was just the boiler room life? When was that switch in your head that just said, I'm not doing this anymore, I'm going into real estate?
I mean, so real estate was always like in my mind. I didn't know exactly where I would start. Then I said, I'm going to be a realtor to start. But the number one thing I liked about it was the freedom of time. And I was telling you off camera was every day is something different. Which cash advances is kind of like that, but the structure is the same. You wake up, you got to get there by 8:30. You're leaving. The longer you stay, the better. You get more calls in. So sometimes you're working 8 to 7, which is crazy. And then
primetime call in California.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
You got Pacific time, and then depending on how far you live, you drive home. Your whole day is work. But real estate, there's freedom, and every day is something different. One day I'm dealing with a seller who's complaining because the offers are too low. The other day I'm dealing with a buyer who, it's a seller's market and they're just not getting what they're looking for. The other day I'm calling, attorneys who, I mean, sometimes they look at it as they make the least money, so you're just another file.
Yep.
But we got to stay on top of, and that's the thing too. Like our number one or like our tagline is realtors or agents, but we're so much more than that. We're marketers. We're consultants. We're problem solvers, which you should be, number one.
Yes.
And then we're also like, I don't know what a word for it is, but the people who keep on top of everyone.
Yeah.
I had one time I was working on a deal. I was the listing agent.
Well, the good ones are the people that stay on top of everyone.
Exactly.
You got the ones that turn the key, open the door, leave, and leave you as the listing agents and do everything else.
Yeah, exactly.
They don't want to do anything because you know what? They got a day job.
Yeah,
Yeah.
They got a day job. I do this part time. Don't text me after 5.
Wow.
But your home inspections at 2 in the afternoon.
That's
Can
the
you go do
biggest
that for me?
purchase on their life.
Exactly. And this is the thing.
crazy.
Like, I was talking with Lance about it, and he's like, wait, I got to get in. The real estate agent or the broker's making all his commission at the end of the deal. So I remember, I think his name is Stefan. I did like a CE course about listings with him, and he was really good. He taught us a lot. But the number one thing he said is that don't leave anything up to other people. At the end of the day, the broker or agent, however you want to look at it, gets the fattest check after that deal's done. So you keep on top of everybody. If you got to call the attorney 5 times, you call him. If you got to call the mortgage broker, even if you're the listing agent and you're calling the mortgage broker for the buyer, just get it done. So I had one time I was dealing with, I was the listing agent, and we're at the part where they're doing contract negotiations. We're under contract. You know, the attorneys is protecting their client. They say, we want the TOE taken out. You know, and then the other attorney is protecting the seller. You know,
TOE, time of essence.
Time of essence.
Basically, what happens in a TOE is, say, for instance, you go on a contract to buy my house. You say you want 45 days to buy it, and then the 45 days it's up.
It expires.
It expires. And then I send you a time of essence letter, and I basically tell you to get on your like it's time to close. Like you gotta do it right now. You gotta close.
Or you'll be penalized.
Or you'll be penalized. I'll take your down payment.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what that
Sometimes
means.
it's down payment forfeit, or they do per diem.
Yep.
You know,
Take a little bit out until you close. But go ahead. Sorry.
No, that's okay. So they were going back and forth about contract negotiations. So I called the buyer's agent, and basically I was updating him what was going on because he was clueless. I didn't know that until after the fact. And he's like, yeah, when it goes on the contract, I usually don't do anything. I just let the attorneys handle everything.
Right.
And I was like, yeah, we'll never close if that's how you're going to work. Yeah. So I basically have to do his job a little bit. But
no, you're doing your job.
I'm doing my job.
You're doing your job. And your job is, because you understand, everyone's not a you.
Exactly.
Everyone's not a you.
Exactly.
You have to stay on top of these transactions.
I got to stay on top of
everything.
everything.
And that's how I excelled in my career. I pretty much orchestrated everything. I made sure everyone did their job.
Until that deal closes.
No one else is going to do it. I always look at it, and sometimes like I'm a master micromanager of real estate transactions because I'm on top of everything. I can literally do everybody's job in the transaction.
It's a good way to
the title company's job. I'll read the title. I'll be your attorney if you
know how many
to.
times I've called the title company. But listen, like I said, at the end of the day, the agent or the broker, however you want to look at it, gets the fattest check. Work for your money.
Yep.
And then you have no one to blame.
Yep.
You know, all right, if it's in their hands, it's in their hands. But you can't say, oh, well, I never called the guy or I didn't follow up.
Something that you said we just touched on. I want to go dive a little bit deeper in. You said that the fact that you got into real estate brought you freedom.
Yeah,
gave you the ability to do other things. Now, I'm assuming that prior to you actually deciding to take the leap of faith and go straight commission into real estate,
right,
you had saved a couple bucks. You were okay.
Yeah.
But give me what's your advice to people who actually get into real estate for the first time that are looking to make, I literally had a conversation in my office parking lot today with a young man who just got his license, but he actually drives for MTA.
Okay.
So what advice would you give to someone who's fresh out of school, just got a license, one that actually has a job and one that doesn't have a job? Actually, let's start with the one who does have a job. Someone who has a job right now, but they say they want to do this real estate thing so bad.
Okay.
What advice would you give them?
So the one who has a job, I would say, is their job, whatever they do, 9 to 5, whatever, is what feeds them. And then just pretend that you just had a newborn baby. But whatever you make at that 9 to 5 job is not enough to feed your baby. So what you're doing in real estate is going to feed your baby. If you could look at it that way, and it's like when you're growing a business, because if you're a real estate agent, a realtor, you're your own business. If
you should be.
Yeah, well, you should be. Some people are.
See, everything that you say, I'm going to play devil's advocate.
That's okay.
Because I've done this for so long.
That's all right.
A lot of these realtors, I'd say it has to be at least like 70% of them don't actually do anything after they get their license or decide to quit or hang it.
Yeah,
but go ahead.
But I would say the number one thing is that you need to treat it as your baby, right? So now just look at it like this. For the first when does a baby start walking? 8 months or something like that? 7? I don't know.
Close to that. Like
Yeah, for like the first 8 months, your baby's not even going to walk.
Maybe a year.
Maybe a year. Okay.
Because crawling.
None of us at this table know, actually.
Yeah, I mean,
I saw
Nobody
Dom
raise your hand if you don't have kids.
That's crazy.
Raise your hand if you don't have kids.
I think a year. I do. Yeah, oh yes, because
Let me
there's a
Google it
different
under the
type
table.
of there's a different type of diapers. There's the crawling diapers and the walking diapers.
Which
Yeah.
one do
And the
you wear?
walking diapers. I wear the crawling ones.
You haven't leveled up.
I haven't leveled up yet, but it's interesting that you mentioned that because with real estate, you mentioned that if I were to get started in real estate, if I sell one house, I could make $20,000 off of one house selling.
Where you selling this house at?
Well, listen.
Let's say it's in a neighborhood with a high price house, or just in general. Like how many
What's
houses?
a high price house?
Well, New York,
Yeah,
probably.
that's all perspective.
Yeah, it's all
It depends where. Yes, you're right. That's why I wanted to ask you though. Like for someone who's getting started and does it part time. Now, there's a lot of people. You have a very unorthodox strategy of door knocking. Which we're talking
Wait.
about.
That's the wait.
But I want to get to that.
You're moving too fast,
but
David. Slow the
golden
train
eggs,
down.
golden eggs.
Let's talk about the 20 grand in one transaction.
So
That's
in
what I
one,
wanna know about.
so should I just market relentlessly to try to get as many sales as I can, or should I just do this as like a side hustle and hope one closes?
Oh, wait,
How does that
still
work?
moving too fast.
Yeah,
I want to focus on the $20,000 a transaction because that's good. A lot of people think they're going to get rich off real estate. I closed one deal, I made 20 grand. This is not California. However, something that we spoke on earlier, what Mo focuses on is like he likes high-end real estate. That's his thing. That's not my thing.
Right.
Okay.
Like it exists. I'm a broker. I can sell anything. But my thing is the masses.
Of course.
My thing is helping people make a transition directly from renting to owning.
Yeah.
So when you make that transition from renting to owning, you want to make sure that their mortgage payment is compatible with the rent payment that they were paying before. So that it's all about affordability. So if you're going to make a $20,000 commission here in New York, you're probably going to have to sell something for $1 million or close to it, and that's usually not someone's very first home.
Yeah, definitely. So I mean, listen, simple math. If it's $1 million house, and let's say you made 2 points, that's 20 grand, and then whatever your cut is, whether your brokerage or whatever. But at the end of the day, like he said, that's not his thing. Everyone has their own niche. In any sales industry, volume is everything. So you sell $1 million house a year, okay, great, but it's not going to put food on the table, you know. So
True.
If you can make the volume selling a lot of $1 million houses, cool. Some people can, some people can't. It depends.
And depends on where you are as well.
Yeah.
Like my market, Nassau, Suffolk County, predominantly, a little bit of Queens. Brooklyn, it's a different market.
Yeah.
I mean, your price point, you're looking at $1 million. That's your $1 million price point. Your base is $1 million.
Exactly.
But that's not where we are. So based on in volume, you can do that. You can do those numbers in volume
As well, yeah. It just
But how often do you have buyers for those transactions? It's a different.
Right.
It's a different animal. Total different animal.
It's very interesting. Yeah. And you're in wholesaling. So you were telling me 2 different types of wholesaling. Can you explain the 2 types of wholesaling?
Yeah, so I'm in wholesaling a little bit. So basically, I look at things with like an investor's perspective, right? If I find a deal, and that's how I have all my relationships with my builders because I bring them value, I bring them deals. But then it works out for me because they give me a wholesale fee or a finder's fee. When they do the new construction or flip, they list with me.
You get it back.
I get it back. So now I'm building that inventory of listings.
And that's what I tell people who are actually wholesaling. Get your license.
Get your license.
Because you can make pipe wrench agreements.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, in anything, if you could be on all parts of the deal, why not?
Yes.
Of course.
Yes, because it's reciprocity. I'll give you, once you bring him that first piece, once you bring the guy that first deal,
he's going to be calling you every 2 seconds.
it's like, wait, you just gave me something I'm going to make money on.
Hey, you got any more deals?
Why would he not? And yeah, I'm going to give it to you now.
You got any
and
more deals?
You're going to list it with me on the back end.
Yeah.
And then he's going to call you every day.
You got any more deals?
Asking that particular, say one
You
more
got
time.
any more deals?
Yeah.
You just got to remember, these builders, listen, people think like, okay, they make a lot of money from one pop to one pop, but it's a job. It's a high-paying job, and they got people who work for them. If their workers aren't working, that means no money's coming in.
And they'll lose.
So, yeah, exactly. And they're losing because you got guys on payroll.
They'll lose the workers.
And then you lose the
Because
workers.
me personally, I learned that a long time ago.
Yeah.
I gotta consistently have inventory.
You have
because
to have
the minute that you stop buying houses,
Yeah. Okay, my friend.
your workers still gotta work.
They're going to go somewhere else.
They're gonna go somewhere else.
Yeah.
So you have to if you want to run a real estate rehabbing and flipping business, you have to have consistent properties for those
It's nothing
people.
personal. They need work.
Yes, and sometimes you'll buy a house not at a loss, but with a small profit margin, just in order to have something
things
to
flowing,
sustain
have something to
your
work.
workers. So guys who are flipping and sitting around on the fence and waiting for that, the big flip. I want to make X dollars, 100, whatever, gazillion dollars on the flip.
No, it doesn't work.
And until you bring me one of those, I'll just wait because my last one I made that. You're going to lose because you have to be in the game constantly because as you're building that construction crew, as you're building that team, if it's a good one, you want to keep them fed.
Of course.
So if your next deal, you don't lose money, but you don't make a gazillion dollars on it, you take a little bit, you make a little bit less. The best thing is just keep going and keep swinging because you keep your actual workers. And the hardest thing for a rehabber is to actually have qualified, trustworthy, skilled laborers renovating their properties.
Yep.
Once you lose them, it's like losing a limb.
Yeah.
Bars.
Oh, absolutely.
Bars.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's big.
And you both, even though you're in different niches in real estate, you both mention a central point, which is having that good relationship with your contractors, your laborers.
Yeah.
How for someone getting started, how would you start that relationship? How do you approach a contractor to work with you on when you get started?
Me?
You first.
I'll let Lance take that one.
Well, I give that to Joe, my GC. So what Joe is a project manager. I used to vet guys like that, and I was terrible at it because, like, I was just bad.
You're a nice guy.
Sometimes, and they piss you off, and then like, you think you know things, and they think they know things, and you start arguing, and then they might leave, and then you're mad, and then you might almost get an altercation, and then like you paid them half the money, and then you got to find somebody else. I used to get sensitive with my contractors. Let me just say that I used to get sensitive. I used to get into escalated conversations and situations quite often.
The tone got
Emotions
high.
ran high.
Yeah, because it's expectation, and I tell people all the time, like, expectation is premeditated disappointment. So I'm expecting one thing. So if you tell me it's going to be done in 6 or 7 weeks, and we're in week like 9.5, and I think we're like 80% done, and you keep asking for more money. And it becomes a thing. Yeah. Right? And I know you're bouncing around from job to job. Like, you're treating me like it just becomes a thing. You feel your feelings get involved. You feel disrespected. You want to throw them off. It gets crazy. And at the end of the day, you're only hurting yourself by not having the right attitude. So what I did is I stepped out of it. Like I told you earlier, I micromanage a lot of things. I stepped out of it. And I said, here, you do that. Yeah. And that was the best thing I could ever do, to step out of it and let the guy that wants to do that and does that only do it.
Exactly.
You found the guy that you trust,
and the fact, not only did I trust him, the fact that he's so skilled in what he's doing, that the people that he's speaking to have no choice but to, like, he's right. Yeah.
No,
like
me
as the house flipper, I think I'm right, but sometimes I am, sometimes I'm not. Yeah. And then when you're wrong, it doesn't feel so good.
Yeah. It's like, I want to be right.
Right.
You're fired.
Yeah. Hey, you only heard.
No more payment. You're fired.
Right.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's good.
And what is your approach?
I mean, so he's on the contracting side. My number one thing is I'm a realtor. I like to say the word agent, but technically realtor supposedly gives you more credibility, but whatever. I'm a real estate agent. I work a lot with sellers. So I'm a little unorthodox when it comes to me talking to sellers. So, for instance, another real estate agent, if someone's looking to sell their house, they basically show them their marketing plan and they try to differentiate themselves from other agents, which is okay. It's what you should do. I come in as a complete problem solver, and my first thing to do is to find your pain point. So I give them 3 options, and the reason I give them options is because autonomy is a beautiful thing. Everyone likes the ability to choose. Anything that's done by force is usually never done, in a good way. Yes. So I basically come in and say, all right, obviously you're looking to sell your home. I have 3 options. Number 1 option, I can get you a cash offer, either from my close network of investors or I market it to other investors. And I give them the pros and cons, advantages. You can close pretty fast. So if time is your thing, we can close in 14, 30 days. But here's the thing, it's going to be under market value, usually like 60 to 70% of market value. Okay? And then the second thing is, if you're looking to sell your house on your own, which you're obviously looking to sell your house, but if you want to save on commission, or, you want to control the listing, I have a thing. I work with a company called Uno Fee. We'll get you listed on the MLS for a flat fee, which is basically just flat fee listing. And then third is the full service listing. You don't want to have to deal with the open houses. You don't have to deal with the calls. You have to vet all the buyers coming in. Are they actually pre-approved? Is it cash offer? Do they actually send proof of funds? I'll handle all that for you. It's just through commission. I only get paid when the deal closes. Now, usually beforehand, after speaking with, you speak to them on the phone, then you go meet them. I already know which one they're going to choose, but I don't choose it for them. You always let them choose. So I give them the 3 options, and then as you're saying it, you see their face, and they kind of go, well, yeah, so what's your commission split? I say, okay, you made your choice. You want the full service package, I'll be your agent. We'll sign on, and then we'll talk about commission. Then I show them my marketing plan to sell their home. So some other agents are like, well, that's ridiculous because you're basically giving them the option to walk away from listing with you. I'm giving them the option to make a choice.
Wow. Yeah,
and autonomy is a beautiful thing.
And as a new agent, like, because you come from a sales background already and because you were already wholesaling prior to, it makes sense.
It makes sense.
But a lot of new agents, what I do is my perspective is a little bit different from new agents. I think the easiest path to success for a new agent is not dealing with sellers, it's dealing with buyers.
Definitely.
Why? Because dealing with buyers, the gratitude is insane.
Yeah.
The gratitude that they actually feel. You work with them properly, you can sustain a business for 20 years. Look at the guy who's done it. You deal with buyers, you handle them properly, you walk them through the actual process. Get in your car, you drive around, you show them houses, you explain to them the mortgage process, educate them the whole entire transaction, you set their expectation. Now, as you gradually do that, you'll close a deal. Once you close the deal, guess what happens? They go to work, they go to church,
referrals,
they go to barbecues, they go to parties, they go to baby showers, and they're talking about you. You got a sticker on their refrigerator.
Word of mouth is everything.
The word of mouth is, they're so happy about their new home, and all they want to do is just share it with the rest of the world and talk about it and how you help them.
Yep.
On the seller side, over the last, I'd say, not as much anymore, but I'd say maybe 2 years ago, 3 years ago, the majority of sellers were selling from a place of need. So you'd be wrestling commissions from sellers because you might walk away with a commission check at the table that's more than the equity that they actually had. So their check may be bigger than your check, may be bigger than theirs. So if you're if you're a full board agent, you're charging 6%, and a guy has a $600,000 house, you got a check for $36,000. His is only 22. He's angry at you. Who do you think he's telling? Where's your referrals coming from? So typically what happens is sellers are one-hitter quitters. They'll pick up, they leave, they move out of state. People usually sell because they're like there's another decision they're making. Correct. If it's not an investor that flips, if it's their actual own house, then they're either downsizing, they're buying something bigger, they're getting out of state, they're going out of state. So it's a different conversation. It's a different business structure. It's a different business tactic. And I teach I can't say I teach. I advise agents that ask me for advice. I don't just volunteer it. If they ask me, I'm going to tell you the easiest path to success as a real estate agent is working as a buyer's agent, because if you work at a buyer's agent, the buyers will send you more buyers. Yeah. And then as you start climbing the real estate ladder of success, now you have a name for yourself. And eventually someone will tap you in the shoulder and say, hey, my mom wants to sell her house. Can you sell it for her?
Exactly.
And you're already edified based on the past that you created with all your buyers.
You got the track record already.
Your track record is there now. So it's much easier to walk into a conversation because you're showing up. You're already edified. This is what it looks like. It's more so a battle when you walk, like he's brave. Walking into someone's home, explaining to them, I'm a newer agent. I've been in the house. I've been in the business for less than a year, or maybe a year, or maybe 2 years. The person's been in this house for 20. Right? There's an agent. There's a particular company sign or an agent sign you see all throughout the neighborhood. Right? This guy has every listing, and you're telling them, and they're asking you questions like, "Well, how many houses have you sold in this neighborhood in the last year?" And you're like, the first one. And they, how many houses have you sold in total? And you're like, and they're evaluating themselves. They're asking themselves, do I want to take the biggest financial investment I ever made and give it to this guy who's newer, who doesn't know? And you're charging the same exact commission split as the guy who has every other listing in my neighborhood, and I know he's selling like hotcakes because he actually has a foundation here. So Why would I go with you and not him?
I don't.
How do you overcome that objection?
Yeah. So I was just gonna say.
What I'm saying, I'm saying kudos because at the end of the day,
no, that's okay.
Like that is a tough conversation.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a good segue into my strengths. I'll get into it. But basically, what he said about the buyers, just like going back, is true. Usually, when you get more experience, you start working with sellers. But on a general standpoint, you need to list to last. Yeah, I'm sure you probably heard that before. Mm-hmm. But definitely working with buyers as a new agent is a great thing to do. Definitely. You'll get a lot of referrals, and you get to learn the game right away. You got to start looking at houses right away. You got to figure things out. Oh, now I know Merrick. I did 10 showings in Merrick. Mm-hmm. But to get around that, I guess being, not the agent who's been doing it for 2 decades and they want you to sell their house, usually when I show them, and I'm not trying to sound like any, usually when I show them my marketing plan, they're usually pretty confident. We do professional photography. Everyone does that. We do professional videography and drone footage.
Stop.
Well,
stop.
Okay,
You're above the competition. Everyone does not do that.
So I'm already above the competition. And
they're doing.
Yeah, exactly. And I'll go higher above.
And they got Galaxy 3s.
I'll go higher above.
And the pictures are fuzzy.
So I was going to be nice. I was going to say we do floor plans. Everyone does that. I know he's going to say stop. Everyone doesn't do that. Another thing that I know, I would say 9 out of 10 agents don't do is we make personalized property websites for each property. And if any of you guys want to go on your phone, you can check one out, 159cip.com.
Plug 159cip.com. I like that. I like
we make sure it's really short and easy to. So that was 159-15 Cross Island Parkway in Beechers, but we just made it nice and short. So
how much is it?
We sold it already. It was listed at 1,259. We sold for 1.113.
Nice.
113.
Okay.
So the idea around the personalized property websites is this. If you're a buyer's agent and you go on the MLS, you only see information about the property, correct? Mm-hmm. Square footage, bedrooms, all that stuff. Mm-hmm. Now, let's say you're a buyer's agent and you go on Zillow, or maybe if you're just a buyer and you go on Zillow, you'll see information about the house. The most you'll get on the community is probably the school district. Mm-hmm. Zillow gives you that, so that's cool. The personalized property website, it's one central location for all the information, not just on the house, but also in the community, because as we know in real estate, you're not just buying property, you're buying where you're living.
You're buying the neighborhood.
You're buying the neighborhood. So, for instance, you guys go on 159cip.com. That's off Cross Island Parkway. I tell you on the website how far Citi Field is, where the nearest schools are, where the nearest library is, the nearest express bus to the city. Also, it also has, the photography, the drone footage, everything in there, the floor plans. So it's one central location for everything. Now, usually when I show sellers that, they're like, all right, so when are you going to send over the listing docs?
Right. So especially at that price point.
Yeah.
If at that price point, they expect those services.
Of course.
Now, if you're working on a property and you're selling it for $250,000 and your commission is going to be 2 turkey and cheese sandwiches and a soda, are you going to go to the same great lengths in order to close it?
So I'm going to give you the answer you're not expecting to get, but the answer is yes.
Yes.
So
that's why I'm saying. Yeah.
I don't know what's being sold for $250.
Most people won't
in New York, but let's say it's like a $500,000, $500K house. I'm still going to do it. And the thing is,
$250. You in Mastic? $250.
Okay, yeah.
I want to know. You going to Mastic with your drone and all that, taking your professional pictures and everything. I'm signing you at 3%.
I'm still gonna do it, and here's the reason why. When I first started taking like professional photos, like for myself, I was doing some branding stuff. Mm-hmm. I needed it like really fast, so I told the guy, I'm like, "Yo, just send me it, and you don't have to edit it." And he was like, "Are you crazy?" I was like, "Yeah, because I need to post in it." He's like, "This is my work. People see it, they're gonna ask you." Who did this? You're going to show them unedited pictures? He's like, no, I'm going to edit it. I'll get it to you as fast as I can. So it's just like, it's part of my work selling a home.
Got it.
So it's my work.
Got it.
So at the end of the day, I'm going to do it.
You're putting your name on it.
It's my name.
That's a brand.
That's my brand. So whether it's $1 million or $500,000, I'm doing everything.
Like Coca-Cola, it's a brand name.
It's a brand name. Like
Blue Magic, baby.
It's a brand name. So personalized property websites, I'm doing everything.
That's what's up.
That's one common trait I've noticed, even though you're.
And that's why he's actually here right now.
Yes, of course.
That's why he made it here.
There we go.
Because he gets it. He's putting in the work. He gets it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He doesn't water down based on the price point. He understands it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. And you're both doing the things like, for example, you don't just settle as a real estate agent and say, oh, well, I'm only a real estate agent. I'm only going to do this, and I don't do all the other parts of the business. I've noticed even though you're both in different parts of the real estate industry, you both do all of the other aspect or try to learn as much as possible about every facet of the industry.
Value.
Yeah.
You increase your value to your clients.
And different perspectives.
The more you know.
Yep.
You increase your
Definitely.
value. You can extend the conversation.
Yep.
Your knowledge base is far superior to theirs because what's happening, a lot of these sellers, they know a lot. The sellers
They're
know a
getting more
lot.
educated.
Yeah.
But they'll pretend like they don't know.
Google University, and they
Yeah.
will pick your brain.
Yeah.
And they already have the answer in the back of it. Because
Let's see what he
remember,
says.
these sellers have typically owned their home longer than you've actually been in
They know the
real
neighborhood
estate.
better than anyone else.
Yes.
That
But yeah,
is-
that's definitely one of the, and I learned that from my broker, which is Muhammad. Shout out to him. He's more than just a broker. He's like a mentor. I shouldn't say like, he's a mentor, friend. I've known him for a long time. But when I first contacted him to get into real estate, I had like, a different perspective on real estate. I was like, I'm going to go in, I'm going to be an investor, quote unquote, and I'm going to make millions of dollars, So I was like, yeah, I just want to be an investor. He's like, well, you should start off as an agent. Because one, if you do any flips, you could sell your own, that's more money to you. You'll get to know the markets. I'm like, yeah, but that doesn't sound cool. I want to be an investor. And then he's like, trust me. I did it too. He's like, I'm a broker. I'm an investor. I'm on all ends of the deal. So when I learned that, and I was like, wow. So now it's just a win-win. I bring deals to builders. I know the market better than them sometimes because it's like their first time doing a deal in Merrick. I know the market. I can sell it for them. And also, I'm not getting ripped off, quote unquote, because I know how much you should be paying me for this deal, so to speak, when it comes to wholesaling it.
Of course.
So it's just good to be on all sides.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you mentioned something interesting when we were talking off the air, that you got started a lot with phone sales, also with canvassing door to door.
Yeah.
And different neighborhoods. And I wanted to know how did that make you better as a real estate agent? How did paying those dues make you better now?
So rejection, number one. And then when you do door to door, door knocking, you really do get to know the neighborhood. And I like to get face to face right away. Like, okay, phone sales is cool, but I want to meet you right away. I can read your body language, whatever. Or you can you see me right away. You can put face to name. But door knocking, there's a lot of rejection, so you get used to that. And then I was telling you before, like, you really have to do it. Some people are like, yeah, I did it. They'll say they did it just to kind of say,
yes,
yeah, I knocked on 10 doors today. Yeah, it's not for me. It's not for me. And I gave you the analogy, which I think I created, but I probably heard it somewhere subconsciously, and maybe I didn't create it. You should never throw a penny in the ocean expecting to make waves.
Yes.
Basically saying, if you're going to do something, go 100%. Because a penny in a vast ocean, you're not even going to get a ripple. So if you really want to door knock, like spend 2 hours and really door knock.
Yeah.
Or if you're really going to cold call, spend X amount of time and really do it.
If you want to be a listing agent.
Right.
And if you're scared of door knocking, then you become a buyer's agent.
Oh,
But you
Buyer's
got
agents don't.
but you got to list to last.
I don't believe that. I ain't never list. I
Well,
ain't never list.
That's because the volume. And you're a broker as well, so it's different.
How you think I became a broker?
It's true.
But I never see the thing about real estate is you have to pick a lane and stick to it.
That's very
true.
true.
So your lane
is
what you're becoming a professional at, and you're going to stick to that thing.
Yeah.
The thing that drives me crazy when I look at someone and they're so frustrated in real estate, I'm gonna do REO.
12 different things.
I'm gonna do wholesaling. I'm gonna work with sellers. I'm gonna work with buyers. Oh, I'm gonna do short sales. Oh, I'm gonna work with investors. Like, sit down.
Yeah.
Because you're trying to be everything to everyone, and you end up being nothing to nobody.
Yeah. Or like they say, you could be mediocre at 100 things and then you can't be exceptional at one.
Gotta
So
focus
Because
on
your time is all over the place.
whichever one thing that is, you gotta go with that one. So whether it be listing, then get out there knocking on doors, sharpen your skill.
Yeah.
If you're working as a buyer's agent, then you get on the phone if you don't like being in front of people. If you're more of a face-to-face person, then yes, knock on doors.
Yeah, get it face to face. Yeah.
Excuse me. If you're more of a phone type of guy, tell them you come from that background, then jump on your phones and work with your buyers. So that's now speaking of buyers, I'm gonna buyers and sellers and listing agents and selling agents. Let's get back to my initial question that we kind of
we took
when someone first gets their license,
Yep.
what would your advice be to them, a newly licensed agent that actually has a job, and not even the one that doesn't have, the one that actually has a job?
Okay, so the one that has a job, like I said before, they need to treat real estate like their baby.
Yes.
It's going to take X amount of time for your baby to walk, whatever. But in between that time, you're putting in the work to get them to walk. Like every now and then you walk to daddy 2 steps, or then they fall. But you keep trying. You never give up. It's like at the end of the day, since you grew up and you walked, you know the baby's gonna walk. It's just a matter of when he starts walking. So if you could have that mindset, and then what great thing about real estate that you get to learn is you need to delay the gratification.
What do you say to the guy that's like, no, what are you talking about? I watched late night TV, and I know real estate is a thing, and I must make you nervous because I am going to be successful. I'm going to be I got my license. I'm going to be a millionaire.
Yeah.
This year.
Right. So what I would say is, yes, you can be a billionaire this year. Most likely not, but I'm not going to be a Debbie Downer. But I mean, is it realistic? You got to put the work in. A lot of people see the tip of the iceberg. You know what I mean? So back to the question, you treat it like your baby. You put all the time you have outside of your 9 to 5 into that. And the first thing you should do is go to your SOI, which is your sphere of influence. You need to let everyone in your contact list know. Everyone who knows you, whether it be personally or not, they know your name. They should know that you're in real estate. Because I was telling David before, like any sales industry, time is the number one thing. So I said to him, I gave him an analogy, but it's actually true. I'm not like a big cologne guy. You know, some people have like 10 different colognes. I just have one, and when it gets like a little low, like it's about to be over, I'll go buy another one. Mm-hmm. So I'm like middle right now with my cologne. If someone tries to sell me cologne right now, I'm not interested. Mm-hmm. They could be the nicest person. I'm just not interested.
What's the cologne?
Chrome Azzaro.
Okay.
That's my favorite.
That, the blue. Like the
yes,
blue
yeah. It actually looks really cheap, but that's my favorite one.
Yeah,
yep.
It is good.
But if it's like really low and then they come to sell me,
mm-hmm.
I don't care who it is. I'm going to buy the cologne. Mm-hmm. I'm already convinced on the product, mm-hmm. and the timing is perfect for me. Mm-hmm. So timing is everything. So at the end of the day, you want to talk to as many people as possible. Let them know you're in real estate. When the time hits for them, you want them to think, I remember Mo was telling me that he could help me sell my house.
But I have a job, but I want to do real estate.
You can do both.
How?
Okay, so real estate
successfully how?
Yeah, so real estate, well, eventually you need to make the transition. But real estate is one of those things you get out of it what you put in. If you treat it like a part-time job, you get part-time job results. So you should put some money aside, and then you can kind of basically take a leap of faith. But in between that transition, before you take that leap of faith, let everyone know that you're in the business. Let them know what your value is. I can help you buy a house, sell a house, whatever it may be, or, investing, whatever it may be. Then, you have some money saved, which some people don't, which is okay. Some people just take the leap of faith, and it works out for them. Mm-hmm. If you want to be more precautious, you save some money. You go into it, and then after that, it's just a matter of you treating it, like I said, like your baby. Treat it like your full-time job. You'll get the results. It might not happen right away, but it'll come.
So, the problem is...
Yeah.
Most of them quit. They get their license.
But that's okay. That's a good thing.
And they actually quit. Yeah. Would you say that... Let me ask you a better question. How does someone know when they just give it up?
When they give it up.
Yeah.
So off camera, I'll give you like 4 or 5 analogies, but I was telling him.
First of all, you probably got the most analogies of anybody that's actually come on this show so far. The ripple and the waves and the water and all that and the vast ocean. So,
he's making waves.
Don't take it from me. I get it from my dad, and he speaks in like parables, so to speak. Listen, Jamaican people in general, like he would say, you have to have lyrics. Basically mean like you got to have game, so they talk, so I get it from him. But I told him off camera, I said, listen, if there was a girl at the bar you saw that you really, really liked, like you said, this is the one, you know what I mean? And like you see her often, if she turned you down the first time and you give up, you didn't like her that much.
That's First of all,
you didn't.
If you went to the bar and said, this is the one,
well, wherever
then
you
it probably ain't the one.
Wherever you are, bar, church.
I
know. Playground. I don't know, mall.
When you're at the bar, everybody's the one.
Especially the time of the day.
After the amount of drinks. That's what
everybody's the one.
It's 3 in the morning. It's like the last call.
Everybody's the one.
All right,
after
her
have
over
drinks.
there.
No, but let's say you see a girl, it's like love at first sight or whatever, and then you try to.
So you see her at the car wash.
Car wash. There we go.
Laundromat.
Maybe.
Laundromat. No, not laundromat. Who goes to laundromat anymore? Car wash.
Or
Good.
These days it's Instagram. But anyway, you see a girl you really
exactly.
like.
That's like the bar.
That's the bar.
Yeah.
It's the virtual bar.
Yeah.
It's just a lot more choices. But anyway.
And kids these days are spoiled, man. Back in the day at AIM, you had to work to earn their trust. Now it's just you have a DM. It's all, they advertise it out there for free.
Yeah, exactly.
The girl at the bar.
You see a girl you really like this is like love at first sight. If that's the case, you wouldn't give up the first time she turned you down. And that's how you need to treat real estate. If it's really for you. Some people quit because they figure out it's not for them, which is okay. You know, I follow Gary Vee a lot, and he says that your 20s is your time of experimenting.
Yes.
Just try a bunch of different things. You figure a lot of, like, for instance, I remember you were telling me that you were good. What was it you said you were good at? It was a salesman?
I started out working in a boiler room, selling construction tools.
Right.
So if I called the South, I was Dave Bush.
But you said you got pretty good at it.
Yes, I got pretty good at it. Oh, it took through much trial and error, many times just getting the marbles out of my mouth. It took me about 2 to 3 months, but once I got over that hump, everything else became easy.
But you're not doing it anymore. You got to a point where you say, I'm doing something else.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So that's basically my point is that, you know, a lot of people are doing what they're good at, but it's not necessarily what they love to do.
Oh, absolutely.
And I think that's like one of Gary Vee's main points. So you should try a bunch of different things and figure out what you really love to do. So back to your question, if real estate is what you really love to do and you're just not getting the results right away, just keep going.
Exactly.
Time is going to pass anyway.
Good answer. I like that. I think if you're chasing, if you're doing it just to make a couple of, if you're doing it because you saw someone else successful and you think it's going to be a fast,
you thought it was a $20,000 commission,
money, right? Then it's not going to work for you.
Exactly.
If your passion's not in it, it's not going to work for you. If you're hard in it, it's not going to work for you.
One thing I noticed about you both, speaking with you, you both emphasize you're very good at the follow-up.
Yeah.
The follow-up.
Follow-up is key.
So even if you take rejection the first time, you call that person back, like with the cologne.
Yeah.
And I've noticed that, like for me, when I was calling on the phones, I wasn't that cutthroat closer, but I was the guy who would find out the name of his dog, find out the name of his cat, find out what universities his kids went to, and then when to call him back, I'd call him back. Oh yeah, how's your son? He's still studying pre-law? How's his LSAT score? Oh yeah, you know, he's struggling to get in, but you know, I just got him some new tutoring. It's like, yeah, just tell him to on the reading comp questions, just read that last paragraph, find the thesis statement. Oh wow, how did you know that? All right, when can we meet? Or, yeah, call me back next month. I'm the LSAT guy. Remember me, the LSAT guy. Don't take this call from anybody else until they ask you what your son's name. Your son's name is Gary? All right, I'm going to tell you Gary. Ask anybody else that question. That's our password. And I would call him back 3 months later. What's your son's name? Gary. Oh, Dave, my man. How are you?
Yeah.
And so that parallels a lot to real estate, whether you're a buyer or whether you're a seller.
Definitely. Yeah, I mean, follow-up is very important because, like I said before, everything is timing, right? So the first time you call them doesn't mean they're ready to sell at that time. If you don't follow up, they forget about you. It's like out of sight, out of mind type thing. The more you follow up, you relate to them, and they get comfortable with you. Now when it's time for them to sell, buy, whatever it may be, you want to be the one they call. So that's pretty much what it is. Follow-up is number one in any sales industry. Definitely
Persistence, real estate.
Yep.
Follow-up. Listing, selling, buying, wholesaling. We're going to follow up with real estate with Mo in the very near future. Can't wait for you to come back on the show again with the Real Estate Informant. You can find my man Mo, Real Estate at Real Estate with Mo.
At Real Estate with Mo. That's me on Instagram.
My man. So we're going to be very, 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 very good friends. Near future, working on some projects. So like I said, Real Estate with Mo. Add him, find him, check him out. Back. My man with the, if he had one more parable, I think I would have left.
You're tired of doing that?
Bars. My man, thanks for coming out, brother.
You already know, my brother.
Let's go.
Thanks for having me.
Real Estate Informant. Peace.
Thank you for listening to the Real Estate Informant podcast. Tune in for a new episode every Thursday. You can find all of our latest episodes on iTunes, Spotify, and Stitcher. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Real Estate Informant. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, The Real Estate Informant, for visual episodes of all of our podcasts.